I'd like to compliment Supervisor Gould. I listened to an interview he gave online about describing the purposes and background behind it. Precinct committee persons.
One other item that was on the agenda, this is actually a consent item that was pulled, and it deals with the precinct committeemen and some resignations that were handed in, and the board gets involved in that, and there's a little confusion about that and how and why the Board of Supervisors gets involved in a political party like this.
I am a former military man. I have no clue how your political party works. Other than the more I listen, the more confused I get, except for that one interview. So I want to thank you for the education I got, which they have not given to other PCs that have been appointed, especially in District 2.
And most people have no idea what a precinct committeeman even is.
Right.
The political parties, the Republicans, the Democrats, the Libertarians, which are the only three parties that have ballot access currently, I believe, in Arizona. I don't know if the No Labels Party actually has ballot access or not, I'm not sure. But under state law, for every 125 voters for your party, you get a precinct committeeman, and they're actually elected officials. You elect them at the primary election. And what you're electing them to do is to be your local representative for that party. And they're supposed to work to register voters and to get out the vote in the general election, and basically be your neighborhood party representative. So if you have any questions about things, if the system's working correctly and people do what they're supposed to do, then the people in your neighborhood know you, and if they come up with an idea, they'll give you a buzz, and you kick that idea up the chain of command. The reason that it's in statute is because of the way that we have partisan primary elections now, because that was not always the case. How it worked in the past is your party put up a candidate. So the precinct committeeman in that district, say for the state legislature, the precinct committeeman in that district for the legislature, they caucused, and they would pick the Republican Party's candidate or the Democrat Party candidate. That was a caucus system. Some states still use that, but not too many of them. But people decided that that was kind of a closed shop kind of way to choose the candidate. So they went to partisan primary elections. So you then went to the government and said, we want to hold these elections. So the government then put rules on how that's run and how the precinct committeeman system is all run. Because before that, they could probably apportion delegates however the parties chose to do it. But say if you're going to bring it under the government and put it on a regular election, which it's a better process, it's a way more open process, then you have to follow the government's rules. So we get into the Board of Supervisors fills vacancies in elected officials. So if your state, like Kelly Ward, for example, resigned from being a state senator when she was challenging John McCain several years ago. So that meant that that seat was then vacant, and she resigned, so she filled out a resignation form. That seat then became vacant. The process to replace her is she was a Republican, and she was from Mohave County, even though that legislative district is bigger than just Mohave County. So she was from Mohave County, and she was a Republican, which meant the precinct committeeman, Republican precinct committeeman from Mohave County caucused. They put together 3 names of 3 candidates. Those get forwarded to the Board of Supervisors for Mohave County, and the Board of Supervisors then picks from those 3 people. And whoever they picked, in that case, they picked Sue Donahue. So Sue Donahue, that used to work for Supervisor Johnson, she went down and finished out Kelly Ward's term as a state senator. The process is similar for the county, countywide officials, the treasurer, the assessor, not the clerk of the court, because the clerk of the court's actually under that comes from the Supreme Court. But the assessor and the recorder and the treasurer. So if we've had vacancies, actually both of those have come, the treasurer and the recorder have come vacant in the last couple of years, and the assessor actually became vacant maybe 6 or 8 years ago. The Board of Supervisors then appoints to fill that vacancy. So it works the same with precinct committeemen, is if a precinct committeeman decides they're going to resign or that they move, then the Board of Supervisors the way the process is supposed to work is the party chairman will notify the Board of Supervisors that they believe that that seat is vacant. The Board of Supervisors then determines if that seat is vacant, and then we take a vote to declare that seat vacant, and then we can put someone else in that position. The board can. Mm-hmm. That comes from the chairman of the Republican Party, so if it's a Republican. We then appoint that person to fill that vacancy. That person then has all the duties and responsibilities of an elected precinct committeeman. It happens quite often because there's way more precinct committeeman slots than there are people that are interested in doing the job. But so we're in a little, I don't think we've been doing it correctly. And that kind of came to light in a month or so ago. We had an issue where the chairman wanted us to remove 2 precinct committeemen from the Bullhead area. And the board ended up denying that, but it kind of brought to light that we weren't doing that properly, and that we weren't giving that the thought that it should have, because they're just filling out a form and giving us the form, and it doesn't have the signature many times of that precinct committeeman. So we're just kind of taking somebody else's word that they want to resign. And
Jeannie Kench took them both off without even consulting the directors, without even consulting them, without consulting anyone. She just said, oh, I don't want them anymore. I'm tired of Jeannie Kench taking off our PCs without even talking to us. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I don't think that's the right way. That doesn't give the
requirements are not being met.
Yeah, I don't think it meets the requirements. So we went ahead and continued those removals so we can come up with a process to do it correctly. And I think the process should be either the party gets a notarized signature from that person on a resignation form, and that's provided to the Board of Supervisors. Or if it doesn't come with that, then we need to send a letter out to that precinct committeeman and tell them that the party has determined that your seat is vacant. If you want to contest that vacancy, you need to come to the Board of Supervisor meeting or contact us, between now and the next meeting. So that way we've got something that's solid. But
several times, Jeannie has decided somebody should, not be a PC.
Ignore the distractors. Keep your focus on the political warfare, not the warfare from within. Linsky tactics is to pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. Mohave has been working extra hard leading the charges from all around us. And the dividers can ridicule me all they want. This just proves that we are over the target. And I stand strong with all of you.
I want to say that Jeannie Kench is the best GOP chairwoman we have ever had. And I've been on the executive board, and I'm saying that. Better than any chairman, woman I have served under. And she's under attack by our own party.
The concern is that we may remove a precinct committeeman that didn't want to be removed.
They need someone to blame, right? The average Republican, PC, GOP, they're looking around wanting to blame someone. We're so used to blaming Democrats, but now they're blaming us. And
so don't fall for the waste of time and energy, and stand with me to move more mountains, because that's what we're doing. Stand with me as we continue to be the mightiest county in the state of Arizona.
So we started watching the agenda a little more closely to see who else Jeannie has decided to single-handedly kick out of the party.
The concern is that we may remove a precinct committeeman that didn't want to be removed, and would then get us in a bind. But we need to treat these like the elected officials that they really are.
Jeannie needs to talk to the director of that district before she kicks anybody off.
Linsky tactics is to pick the target.
She's not talking to anybody. She sits down, writes it out, sends it in, expecting you to approve it. And now my understanding is that she's got a new form for resignations where the person doesn't even have to sign it, only requires her signature.
Linsky tactics is to pick the target.
And she's been using that against District 2 by simply not telling anybody when she does it. It's just a surprise.
Alinsky tactics is to pick the target.
And I think it's important that we do things correctly. I'm former Mohave County Republican Party chairman. I did 4 years as the party chairman.
Right.
So we've been doing things wrong for a long time. So we've upset some people because they don't see that's how we've always done it. But just because we have always done it wrong doesn't mean that we should continue to do it wrong. But so I've irritated some people with that, but that's okay. We need to do it correctly.
All right.
I want to say that Jeannie Kench is the best GOP chairwoman we have ever had. She's under attack by our own party.
Manipulation is this, is that they get upset to your reaction from their disrespect. It's, I've hurt you, and now I'm the victim because you don't like me anymore. No.
And when you divide like that, it's very similar to what the federal government is doing by dividing us. And I'm telling you, you like to use the word crisis because it's used so much, but we are really at a crisis point in Arizona in the Republican Party. And we have got to do the hard things, and that is call out people and call out, dissension and that kind of thing for what it is. And we're not against dissension and free speech, but
Alinsky tactics is to pick the target.